Does hip-hop hate Prodigies? With the new age of rap ushering its way in, it seems like the title of Prodigy is dead. While just 30 to 50 years ago, this wasn't always the case, with it seeming like the only way you could make a name in hip-hop was by having nothing but talent. Some examples of this are Wayne, Drake, Nas, and even Soulja Boy. So today I wanted to ask, what's changed? What's good, gang? It's SB Cat, the Bonded Bandit. And today, we're gonna be looking into how hip-hop turned its back on Prodigies. And if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, since we're less than 400 subscribers away from our goal of 1,000 before the end of the year. A prodigy in Google's definition is a person, especially a young one, endowed with exceptional qualities or abilities. So with that being said, we go back to our original question. Does the current hip-hop landscape hate Prodigies? When did this shift happen? Is there still any artist in today's hip-hop still worth the title of Prodigy? And if so, are they thriving? These are the questions we'll be answering in today's video to see whether hip-hop hates Prodigies or it's just simply a coincidence. And I think the first thing we should look into is the shift. The shift I'm talking about happened as recently as 2016. A lot of us look back on this year with fondness, but I think we fail to realize how much this year really changed hip-hop. Because looking back at the Billboard's #1 charting rap songs for every year starting in the 2000s, we have Hot Boys by Missy Elliott featuring Nas, who came into hip-hop at the age of 17, when he was first recording his album Illmatic. My Baby by Little Romeo in 2001, and Little Romeo was 12 years old when he dropped his #1 song, My Baby. And in 2005, Lil Jon released Lovers and Friends, featuring Usher, who's another prodigy who became famous at the age of 15. And who can forget Mr. I Did It First Soulja Boy, who took the world by storm with Crank That in 2007, also at the age of 15. Along with Drake, who was 20 when he debuted musically, despite already being a successful actor at a younger age. It's said that he's been making music since he was 17. And let's not forget Chris Brown, who became famous at the age of 16. It wasn't until 2016 when this will all change, with Designer at 18 years old. TK is 17 years old in 2017, and 24K Golden is 17 years old in 2019. But if you notice, from 2000 to 2016, every prodigy I mentioned is still relevant in some shape or form, except for Little Romeo. But looking at 2016 onwards is a different story, with every prodigy I mentioned having almost zero influence to the culture, besides TK and some of the 2016 XXL class. But we'll get to them shortly. But yet again, we have to ask the question, why is this? Why is it that after 2016, the prodigies from there on don't have nearly as much of a lasting impact as years prior? For that, I think we have to look into the influence of 2016 to see what happened. First, I think after this year and onwards, the general consensus was that the quality of rappers have downgraded. We see this from the Backlash Lil Yachty got, the Migos, Lil Pump, Designer, Lil Xan, and later on, Smoke Perp, to the point where I feel like it killed the radio freestyles for it to be later revived by On The Radar, but that's another video. But despite all the hatred, it was only just that, hatred, and it was only from one side. The other side considered all these guys to be prodigies in their own right, from Future to Migos to Designer, Kodak, G Herbo, and Lil Yachty.
I googled you, I played the song. This kid got some talent right here. Right. Being under this, who they follow. This the new generation show right here. No generics, baby.
Right.
You heard me? You heard me? That's what I'm saying, man. So listen, Kodak Black is in the building. What's popping?
Trevor.
That's right. We trapping. That's right.
By the way, though, I was 16 when I did that new flocking.
What?
Yeah.
But at the time, OGs in hip hop already had their opinion about these guys, and that ultimately led to prodigies not being taken seriously. All right, so let's take a quick pause. So while writing this video script, I stumbled upon a video called "The Phenomenon of Being Watched Before 25" by I Used to Be Pay, and we kind of share some of the same ideas. So I'm gonna be using his video as a reference sometimes, but to sum up his video, it was about rappers who basically had a whole career's worth of success in just 3 years, putting them in a weird position that's neither a one-hit wonder nor an actual career. And while I agree with him on most of his sentiments, where I don't agree with him is on his internet point. Kind of. I half agree with him on his internet point.
Don't fit in. Okay, your play style is washed. Your play style is old news now. That's the reality that a lot of these guys are living in. This is a product of the internet and trends on the internet. Trends on things like TikTok are very fast and will last a few weeks to a few months, but in music they tend to last a bit longer just due to the size of the music industry, and you can't really consume musical content as quickly as you can consume TikTok content, yet musical trends burn out quicker because of the internet, just like other social media trends. Musical trends themselves also start to burn very, very hot and very quick because of a platform like SoundCloud, especially a few years ago.
While it's true that the internet made trends in music faster, the rappers in his video were not only rappers who didn't respect the art form, but some also bragged about how easy their success came to them. The reason I bring up this video is because, like I stated earlier, the general consensus on the quality of rappers is that there's been a downgrade. And I feel like this video voices that. And to also explain part of the shift that I mentioned, which is the mental shift, because if you convince the people, your job is already half done. So thank you to I Used to Be Paid for speeding up part of the video. Anyways, now that we know the 2016 made all of hip hop in general seem less talented, this is honestly Soulja Boy's fault. Soulja Boy's rise to stardom in 2007 was a warning to the current gatekeepers of the change that will start to happen in the next 9 years. With his use of the internet opening the floodgates and lowering the barrier of entry, think of the barrier of entry like a wall that was controlled by record labels, radios, and magazines, keeping the balance in music and not letting anyone in that it did not see fit in the industry, as most artists couldn't be independent back in the day. But when Soulja Boy blew up, it was sort of like finding the shortest part of the wall that was easy to jump over, and the other side was the side of the music industry that even the gatekeepers had no control over. Due to this being new territory, no one else would try to jump over this part of the wall, and people would stick to the normal route of finding gatekeepers, aka A&Rs and radio hosts, to open the door to the wall for them. It wasn't until the popularization of apps like Spinrilla and SoundCloud in 2013 where this unknown land started separating itself from the rest of the industry. This is where we would see the rise of artists such as Ray Sherman, OT Genesis, and OG Mako in 2014, and further proving the future artists that you don't need the old powers for the first time in decades. The filtration system set up by the music industry was being broken. But don't get it twisted. Even though this was new land, after making it to the other side of the wall, artists still needed record labels. Okay, so I hope that explained the shift for you guys. So what have we learned so far? Number one, we learned that even though we've always had musical prodigies, they were only considered prodigies because they were able to shift through millions at a time when the barrier of entry was way smaller. Number two, we learned that due to Soulja Boy laying the blueprint and the 2013 and 2016 artists that followed him, it resulted in the previous generation writing them off. And I know at the time that didn't seem like a big deal, but it would end up affecting hip hop since the previous generation didn't hand off the baton, so to say, which had happened in generations prior, but not this time.
That ain't for me, and that's fine, but I don't think it was ever just like pat, like, oh, what's up, little bro? Pat baton pass, like, you know, I mean, there were certain guys that showed love, but I don't ever think it was just a smooth hand toss.
I hear that.
Leading to the next generation of artists having complete disregard or a lack of care for those who come before them.
What genre do I think is overrated? If you sampling a soul record, get that bullshit out of here. No one's trying to hear that. I hate soul, anything, boom bap. Yeah. Get that unk shit out of here, bro. I don't like any of that.
Anyways, moving on. Fast forward to today, and I think it's time to answer our last two questions. Is there any artist in today's hip hop that's still worth the title of prodigy? And if so, are they thriving in today's hip hop? Well, honestly, yes. There are artists in today's scene that I think could be considered prodigies. Some examples that come to my head are Skywater and a Glock 40 Spaz, and even Ian, but I want to focus on that last one because while there is still traditional prodigies, most of them come in very small doses and they usually get overshadowed by gimmick rappers. In this case, Ian overshadowing prodigies like Skywater despite Sky grinding for way longer. But it's a toss up whether Ian is a prodigy or a gimmick, because while he just recently turned 19 and he's been rapping for years prior under the name Suburbs Cerberus, that's a crazy name. Why people argue that he's a gimmick is because he uses the trope of a white suburban kid rapping gangster, you know, like the Matt Oxes, the Slim Jesus kind of trope. But despite hip hop being tired of this trope, he's still succeeding, because to say he's only still trying to be the trope would be stupid. But I think his gimmick is more marketing. But there's someone who thinks Ian shouldn't be where he is. The people think Tyler the Creator has been subliminally dissing Ian. Whether that's true or not is up to debate, but for this scenario, let's just say that it is. Well, this would be kind of odd because on one hand, Tyler the Creator came up kinda as a gimmick. At first being the edgy artist that says whatever's on his mind, but he eventually evolved from that. I mention all this because I feel like due to the surge of gimmick rappers in 2016 who didn't care about the culture and only wanted to use the culture for a bag, and because of those artists, I feel like the last generation once again is skeptical of the new rappers. Even rappers that were once the object of skepticism are wary of the new rappers, i.e. Yachty and Tyler. But I think these guys are doing this because they now see how it can damage the culture and the ramifications it can have. Like we established, Soulja Boy and the internet opened the floodgates, but I feel like a lot of artists are acting as a filtration system.
And is your frustration with them because you care about this art form so
Dude,
much?
I love this art form so much, bro, and there's so many niggas out right now that aren't musicians that are getting treated like musicians because they make meme records or whatever, and I'm like, bro, this niggas out here that's really special, really aliens, really talented, really putting in the work. And y'all niggas giving this dip fuck who, these niggas publicly will be like, I don't give a fuck about music, I just do this shit for money. Like,
I agree with you.
like, get your bag, I love that. But like, when every publication is like, hell yeah, let's put that out, man, a 15-year-old, a 12-year-old, a 20-year-old gonna see that and be like, man, shit, I don't really care about this shit too. This a quick bag. Now you taking up space for niggas like me.
So, does hip-hop hate Prodigies? No. The genre is in a space where it wants to revive its greatness, and is more keen to the gimmicks now. This isn't to say that gimmick rappers still don't blow up, because they do, but for them to last, they will still need to show their potential and growth to stick around. So that's the video. If you agree and disagree with anything I said, comment down below. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's been that boy SB Cap, it's been that boy SB Cap, the Bonnet Bandit, reminding y'all boys to keep chasing the bag.